That's a little mess. Whoop. Oh, jeez. Ooh, it's gooey. It's all crunchy. Gross. Old car sounds actually pretty nice. Starting to get a little heat in it. You can see it starting to burn all the oil and stuff off. Joys of working on stuff that other people's worked on. Okay, we're gonna have some big body confessions. I'm totally surprised, totally stoked that this thing cranked and ran as well as it did. Yeah, right there at the end, it did kind of backfire, but what it sounded like was either the carburetor was running out of fuel, or it's gumming up. Fuel pump could be going bad, or it could be drawing some of that nasty gas in. I don't know, but I am going to rebuild the carburetor and I am going to give it a tune-up. So I don't have them parts with me. So we got to get some parts, and then we're going to drive us a Chevrolet. This thing has a roll pin in it right there, if you can see it. And you have to drive it down or spin it around and drive it whichever way. Now, this one is flush, you can see, and this side, it's ever so slightly as kind of recessed. So that's where we're going to start. And to do this little thing, all you really need is a roll pin punch, or like what I'm going to use is this little bitty screw. And I'm going to drop it in the floor, and that tells me that I should get a pair of needle nose to hold that darn thing. Wipe off some of this little bit of oil on there. Grab me a hammer from down here. It's not very complicated at all, folks. As long as it moves for us. I just set that on top of there and just pick it. Got to be straight though. Let's try this again. Woo! About dropped it in the floor. Well, I'll tell you what we could do. Let's do this. We will set that in the vise. Not clamp it very hard at all. And then we will drive it yonder way. I'm gonna hold that on here if I can. I'm gonna put my shirt up against this thing to keep it from spinning. And we'll just tap it. Come on, baby. Probably should have grabbed a bigger hammer. Man, I ain't a little bit of an issue. I don't want to cinch her down. Alrighty. You don't have to knock that roll pin all the way out either. All you really have to do is knock it out just far enough for it to clear that distributor shaft. And it keeps you from having to start that roll pin. And maybe I'll get it. We should be getting close. It may come all the way out. Just a tiny bit more. There it is. You also want to pay attention to your little washers here. Don't want to lose those. It's usually two, or one, I mean. Just thinking of the two parts. Your little washer, and then your one with the little teeth on it. And you just slide the little shaft out of there. And depending on how much goop or oil and junk that is in there, it may be a little more of an effort than you think. Just twist it back and forth, kind of working it. What it is, there's some dirt and grime like this stuff on that shaft on the inside of where it was running. You can feel it. It's kind of greasy. But it just takes a while to kind of work that stuff off of there. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to put a little bit of brake cleaner in there. Usually there's a hole sometimes in these things. I thought, yeah, I guess it's not. And if it is, it's all gummed up. Let's take that gasket off. Save it. Spray it a little off in there. Oh yeah, that made it way easier. Kind of melted all that old grease. You guys can see it's all slimy, nasty. Ooh, just made a mess in the floor. Need another rag. Clean up some of my nastiness. And then, while we're cleaning up, put a little brake cleaner on this rag. Get off all that grime and stuff off of there. And we'll have to reuse this thing, of course. But next thing, put a little in there. Just to flood some of that old grime out of the way. Well, we're going to have to break this down just ever so slightly. So we'll put this in there. We're going to have to get in there to the wire grommet and etc. So I need to grab another flat tip. I'll go ahead and pull this vacuum advanced up. Come on. I was a little stuck. Yeah. Just remove that thing. It's also a good time to check the vacuum advance. See how it's good or not. Yeah. Now you can take and pull the little rod. I need a smaller screwdriver. Maybe I'll use this little punch. Plunge it down past. Come on, baby. Now I'm talking and I'm grunting all at the same time. Isn't that nice? Just take these little screws out. It's kind of aggravating sometimes. One little screw. I'm going to take a little pry bar, or use this for a little pry bar. Find me something to pry up against. Move that plate around and pull that screw out. Now you can use a little vacuum pump if you have one, or if you want to get primitive, you can put a vacuum draw here with your little smoocher and see if this rod draws in, because that's what happens whenever the carburetor is or the engine's running and you crack the throttle open. If it's set to ported vacuum, because you have ported vacuum and you have manifold vacuum, and the difference is manifold vacuum means if the car's running, it has vacuum, and ported means it's on the top side of the throttle blade and it only has vacuum, or it technically doesn't draw until you crack the throttle blades open, like stomp on the gas, and therefore it gives it vacuum. So if this thing is good, the pod, this little thing here should move. It's not. So I'm going to have to order a new vacuum advance. More parts, folks. That's all good. We can still put this thing together. Now, we got to get this little grommet out of here. That's super easy. Just a flat blade and a little pokey. And next thing you know, it's out. See? Just like that. Let's clean this up a little bit. Ugh, let's get a new rag. Yeah, let's clean a little of this up. You can tell I'm spending all the time because you really care. I do care. It's just very little. One more spurts. I'm gonna wipe it clean. Another thing you want to make sure is cleaned is the little drive gear on the shaft of the distributor. You don't want any of this stuff slinging off of there because this new electronic eye, if you will, won't be using any of this stuff. So it's just a good idea to clean it. And I'm gonna go ahead and flood all my distributor gear so it can be draining. Ooh, look at that. Crunchies. Same way with our little shimmies here. Okay, let's put some new parts in. This piece here will go into the same spot that the original points where they ran. Now this thing has a little alignment dowel and it goes into that hole, so you want to make sure that it finds its home. And then you reuse those two screws that held your points into place. That's not them, that was the ones we used on the vacuum advance. So let me find where I put them. Man, what did you do, Tom? Oh, they're right here. Okay, try this again. Put this up here. Put those little screws in here. My big fat thumb. And then this one goes in there like so. Tighten this thing down. Because I was supposed to make those clicking noises. All right, now it's time to kind of install our shaft in our magnetic ring. Now you don't have to take the shaft all the way out of the distributor just install this thing, but I like to break it apart for inspection. Make sure that it's not excessively worn, there aren't any problems, that kind of thing. Now if you left it in there, all you have to do is kind of hang it over to this side and then kind of jiggle it around to hopefully make sure that it falls in there. And then you spin it around to your little studs pass through the screw holes that hold the rotor on. Then you can slap this in here. And you also want to put the little nuts on here to hold this thing up, because the next thing we have to do is set the gap between the ring and this little box. We'll loosely install these. Apparently there's some bigger ones. Just hand tight's good, but you want them snug. Now we're looking here, and this distributor is setting at full rest, and we're touching, and that's a problem. You can see how there's a gap right here on this side where you can see through it, but it's technically touching right there. So we're going to have to bend this thing down. Still hitting. Just going ever so slightly. What you're looking for is 10 thousandths at the closest, and then you also have a maximum of 60 thousandths, and that's where you have on a distributor. With this thing having that slanted drive gear, there's a thrust to it. You know, if you are deceleration, it usually pulls the distributor down, and then when acceleration, it drives it up. That's one of them things have a little bit of wiggle in them. And so we're going to have to adjust this to make sure that everything is within spec. You also have to make sure that the wheel isn't bent or warped. So as you spin it, if it gets tighter and then wider and then tighter like this one, well, we're going to have to tweak this thing ever so slightly to make sure that we have a consistent amount of gap during rotation. We need to go kind of like so. Yep. Yeah, this can take a little bit of some tweaking to get it all dialed in. Very patient. Alrighty, after a little bit of some adjusting and that calibrated eye, we got it spinning pretty consistently. And it's kind of within spec. So now we need to reinstall our washers and our drive gear here on the bottom of the distributor. This thing had a lot of slop in it before, you know, with that shaft moving up and down. It comes with a little washer here to put in there to shim that thing up, to tighten it up as well. And we're going to go ahead and install it. And I bet you that will put it right in that little sweet spot. So let's pull this thing around, move a shaker over here on the side, and then go ahead and put our washers and etc. in there. Put our distributor in. You have to line up that hole. That should be her there. So we'll just spin it and then tap it back into place. Ah, I touched it. Rookie. Lined up. Spin it. Hold it. There's no reason to drive it all the way in with that little shim on there, tightening everything up. Now is the time to check the distance kind of the shaft all the way up, shaft all the way down, and you want it to be within 10 and 60 thousandths. Need to grab my feeler gauge. Alrighty, we got 11 thousandths. So if you tighten it up, meaning pushing it as close as you can to the little eye, yeah, that's pretty close. And then for 60 thousandths, you may be like, man, how are you gonna get 60 thousand? Well, I'm gonna use a 22, a 20, and an 18. That's 60 thousandths. Then you push this shaft all the way up, and that's her. It's a little tighter than 60 thousandths, but that's okay because we're within that window. You don't want it to be 70 thousandths, because what happened essentially is when that thing separates or that drives the shaft up, it may pull it away from the eye and then it loses its signal. So we are there. All we need to do now is finish putting the distributor together. Come on. Yes, sir. We're going to have to poke this back through there. It's a little difficult to see, but see my finger, that little hole? We've got to snake these two wires off in there. Kind of like so. Come on. And then pull the grommet through. There we went. Then we can pull the wires. Man, I wish I had that vacuum advance. We could finish all this up. Now that thing will run kind of about right there. And we're going to have to make sure that these wires don't ride on that little shaft. Like, you don't want this thing moving and wiggling and cut one of these wires or chafe them. Because then, y'all know what'll happen. Weird things start happening. Like, it kind of, like, every time I turn left, the ignition shuts off. Whew, that stuff can be a monster to find. That ought to work there. Once we get the rest of that together. Cool. Well, I did a little digging, I guess you could say, and I found this old vacuum advance out of this old distributor that had been laying around up at Pop's for how long, but it had a good vacuum advance in it. So I'm going to install it into this thing, and I'm actually going to reuse my old rotor too. I refiled the little tip here, and I was comparing this one to the replacement one I just ordered. And y'all talk about, you know, new parts aren't what they used to be. Well, that isn't ever, I mean, that's absolutely correct. I was looking at the new one and I was like, man, that little contact looks little. So I grabbed my old one. This one really wasn't in that bad a shape. And I looked at the little contact here, and it is about a third bigger or thicker than just the replacement one. So I said, nope. I took about 4 or 5 swipes with a flat file on the tip of that thing, and it cleaned right up. So there's nothing wrong with this thing. Now, earlier I had told you guys about putting a draw on here, and you'd see this little arm move, and that is the case. That one just jumped right out there, so that means this one's good. Yeah, so we just gotta wiggle this thing into place, put a couple of screws in, then put the cap back on, and we'll be good to go. Okie dokie. We got that electronic installed. And the old, man, that's awesome. It just fell into place. Sweet. Now we got to put our little clamp up in here. Get it on there. It's not all that complicated. And then a 9/16 wrench. I'm really good at hiding tools from myself. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but man, the fun is unbelievable. I mean, it can happen for hours. I mean, on and on for hours. Yep. Yep. Let's just snug her down a little bit. We're going to have to set the timing. But that was pretty close to where that thing was at. Now with your connections on this dude, this is as easy as it gets. You've got a positive and negative on your coil, and you put the red on the positive and the black on the negative. Yeah. Let's see. I need some sockets. Stay back in the socket. Well, now we gotta unscrew the coil. I didn't really remember what the size was, so I grabbed 3 different ones. I had a speculation, and the size on a coil, little nuts or fasteners, are a size that you don't use very often. You guys think of what size that is? Now I grabbed a 5/16, 11/32, or as everybody says, 11/32 and a 3/8. It was the 11/32. Yep. And that coil stud seems to be a little corroded. It's a little lot harder than it should be to take that little guy off. But it's okay. We got it. Don't want to drop it. Okay. Back one is positive. So we'll snake that thing around. Huh? Put her on there. Tying it up. Pretty simple. Now, originally, this negative side had a wire that went to the distributor. So there's nothing really on this one. And this one obviously goes to the distributor. We're going to snake it back around. Same as that other. Just so it kind of hides it a little more. Did y'all hear that? Dropped it. And I just said, don't drop it, Tom. It sounded like it hit wire looms. There's a wire loom right back here. Holy cow. It was sitting there, and I went and bumped it, and it fell. I wonder what the chances are it actually hit the ground. It's not there now. Nope, it's not under here. La 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 la. Joys of working on a car. I might have a new one. Let's go see. Maybe this is the right thread. Nope. One more time. This is one of those situations that the 10 minutes you spend looking for, oh, that's it. Good job. The 10 minutes it takes to find the new fastener or the new part you just lost, it really gives you time to think about if you just wouldn't have lost it, you wouldn't be wasting this time. You know what I mean? Luckily, I had a new one sitting there, but it only took me, like I said, about 10 minutes to find it. Oh, and now it's a different size, of course. But luckily, I brought them assortment. That's it. Those are both tight. Just give them a little tug to see if anything moves. Make sure your connection to the wires is nice. Now we need to do some tune-up and a few plug wires, cap, a whole bunch of spark plugs. Let's get started. Went ahead and grabbed all of my spark plugs and my brand new distributor cap. And I was actually surprised when I pulled this thing out of the box. It has those gold colored contacts on the inside. Normally, when you're buying cheap parts, it's got cheap materials in it, and those are silver, like they're aluminum. Now, with the plugs I'm putting in this thing, they're just your standard old AC Delco R45TS. Yep, the ones we pulled out are an R44T. Now, I was on a point style car, you usually set the, holy cow, usually you set the points at 35 thousandths on points, and on a HEI, it's at 45 thousandths. Now, just measuring that one, that was 45 thousandths. That one was 45 thousandths. That one is at 55 thousandths. These are just the old plugs I grabbed. That's at 45 thousandths. Now, that can tell you that either one, they weren't gapped correctly, or two, they are physically worn from firing, and it's just started to wear off the little contacts on it. Sometimes you'll get them, man, I've seen that little finger up top basically melted all the way off. So this thing should run dramatically different. Now, when you buy plugs, sometimes they come pre-gapped, but that doesn't mean they're gapped to your application. This one right here measures 40, 647 thousandths. So I don't know if my gap gauge is off a little bit, but I'm going to speculate it isn't. Normally they come 35, 40, or 44 thousandths. I'm going to set this one at 35 like it's supposed to. Run through these little things real quick. Then we can slap them all in there. Now you don't want to drop a spark plug because they're not very resilient in a way. Yeah, they're at 40 thousandths. So somebody at home is probably freaking out by the way that I'm gapping this thing by tightening it up by just tapping it on the head of the spark plug. And I'm not saying it's the correct way to do it, but I'm telling you it is a way. This reminds me of another story from in TV land. Yep, I could tell you guys. Well, this is a story of some engine builders. This guy is a heck of a dude. He doesn't work at TV land no more. He's actually kind of doing his own thing. Me and this fella talk pretty often. He's a heck of a dude. I enjoy talking to him a bunch, but not gonna say any names, but he worked there for a while and he made quite a splash. This is the story. They had a guest in that was a gentleman that built, I believe it was NASCAR engines, you know, real high up in the food chain kind of guy. To the guy who was the host, he was telling us, he's like, this is my hero, man. This guy, he's built, you know, he built stuff that is unbelievable. And so with it, you know, y'all probably heard the old saying, you know, there's a tool for every job. Well, it got to the point whenever they were assembling this engine that it was time to put the harmonic balancer onto the crankshaft. Now they do make a harmonic balancer tool, of course, that screws into the crankshaft, and then you screw on a nut and a washer and an adapter or so, and you just basically turn one, hold the shaft on the other one, and guess what? It presses the harmonic balancer onto it. So my guy, he was looking around going, and he's like, man, we don't have that tool. We should find this thing. And I can't believe it. Like, I don't want to do it the way we always do it. And you guys probably already know how most people put on a harmonic balancer. They use a hammer and a block of wood. You just lay the block of wood on a balancer and you go to wailing on that dude. And once it finds bottom, well, the tone changes of the strike of the hammer. You know what I mean? So there he is. He's looking for this tool. Can't find it. Freaking out. Going to all the studios. Man, do you guys have it? I really don't want to put it on the way we do. After frantically finding it, we didn't have one. He goes down there to the guy and he's like, man, I just can't find our tool. I guess somebody borrowed it and it's not here right now. And then he goes, I mean, that's cool, man. And you got a block of wood and a hammer? We'll just put it on with it. So this whole time, dude's freaking out, thinking he needs this one. The engine builder that was his hero became even greater of a hero to him, because that guy too puts it on just like everybody else. It's kind of like the old saying, you ain't no better than me. You put your britches on one leg at a time like I do. Well, apparently that engine builder put on a harmonic balancer just like the other engine builder did. Yep. Fun little conversations. Fun little story time with Tom. Gapping your spark plugs is super easy. All you really need is a spark plug and a spark plug gap tool that actually measures it. All you really need to do is take that little plug, slide it in the groove, and then slide it around, and it will tell you what it is actually at. To gap your spark plugs correctly, it's as easy as it comes. All you need is a gap tool and a spark plug. Take your spark plug, take your tool, slide it onto itself like so, and then slide it around until it stops. This one measures 40 thousandths. Now for our application, that's a little bit too wide. So what I'm going to do is take this part and tap it on a solid surface, and that bends it down. Now when we slide this on there, it measures about 32. So ever so slightly, I'm going to pry up. That opens it up. And then When I slide it around, it stops at 35. That's correct for our application. Now I just need to do this 7 more times. Our old plug that we pulled out is an R44T, and the new one, from what the application from the parts store said, that we required an R45T. Now the difference in these is whenever you flip them over, other than the heat range. Usually the higher the number, it means the hotter that plug will fire. Now, if you look at the two difference on the lengths of this thing, the new one is a little bit longer. Now with our old plugs, the ones we pulled out are these ugly crusty ones, and it's an R44T, and the new ones we're putting in is an R45TS. This shows to be correct by the application at the parts store. So I don't know if someone put too cold of a plug in there or if they put the wrong one in altogether. I'm going by the application, and if you look at the difference in here, one is taller than the other. This could be a part of the problem, that this coil or this plug is actually just isn't right for the application. Also, with it being longer on this one, what that does, this shorter plug kind of pulls it into the hole of where it screws into the cylinder, and it could have the head shielding it, not allowing it to operate or fire as efficient as it should. This one may put it a little closer into the combustion chamber. So I'm hoping this thing will run a whole lot better, and I'm pretty sure it will, just by the shape of these old plugs versus our new ones. This old car is a whole lot easier to put plugs in on this side than the other one, so I went ahead and done that, so you guys didn't have to see me struggle as hard. This is a part of that, you know, man, you guys sure do make it look easy on the tube, building cars and all, cause you can completely restore a car in 30 minutes. Shoot, I can't get the air cleaner off mine in 20. So it's like, right now you would say, all I lack is these last two spark plugs, and I can put them on and we can go ahead and install the distributor cap and the spark plug wires. Crickets, crickets. Now you see why we skipped over some of that stuff. Screwing these things in there isn't pretty easy, but made me think, I wonder if there's like a torque spec for a spark plug. I'm sure there is. Some engineer somewhere got paid to determine that. I don't really know what it is. I've never torqued a spark plug in my life, and I've put in a bunch of them. You just kind of snug it down, use that old elbow meter. You go, yep, that's tight enough. Moving on. I know on some of those aluminum head type engines, yeah, it's probably far more crucial than this old school cast iron Chevy. But even that's gonna have a different spec. I wonder what the torque spec is on a spark plug for a 1973 Caprice. 400 small block, of course. Jeez, this must be. Got it. Next one. And then the third one. Final, most easiest. Saving it for the last. Got it. Under the cap. Now with one of these caps, it sure is a lot easier if you'll take and twist these little clampy things off to the side, because then make sure your wires aren't laying across the distributor, and then it just goes into place. Then you look for your screwdriver that you hid from yourself. Yep. And then twist her on and wiggle it and realize you didn't put one clamp on correctly. So you gotta go the other way. Rah. Fixed it. Now spark plug wires. Don't that sound like a good time? Mm-hmm. Now originally that one was number one. So we're gonna pull this off around here. Plug up our vacuum advance so I don't forget. And then I have to come off whenever we set the timing. Let's put some plug wires on. Earlier, I wasn't gonna do all the big super tune-up on this thing. And then after doing a little bit of some inspection, I found out that it really did need it. And I know I was just trying to be a little conservative, tight, whatever you want to call it. But in the spirits of making sure everything runs as it should, we bought some high quality, low cost. Now, them two words or phrases don't really go together, do they? New spark plug wires. There was two options for it. One above the manifold and other was below the manifold. And I was thinking, man, I ain't ever seen a 73 Chevy with the below plug wires on it. Like the exhaust manifolds is no. Like I get it with that big old like 68 we've been working on the dirty half dozen. Now, as I was saying with my plug wires, these original ones, wanted to show you what was bad on them. Now with a plug wire, there is a thing you can do, and that is ohm them out. You take and measure from one side of the connector to the other side, and you need to know the length because it's kind of measured by the inch, I believe it is. I have done that. I have taken in the past on, we had a really nice Camaro here in the shop, and it had a weird miss in it, and the plug wires were basically new. What we did is we ohmed them out, and we found that there was a contact problem inside that wire, and the resistance was through the roof. That told us that that one plug wire was bad, so we replaced it. Sometimes, like I said, on these old things, you really can't find a problem, so you believe. But what happens sometimes is you got to think this thing may have been running and operating okay or fine, but whenever you start disturbing all that, there's corrosion inside of all these little joints. You manipulating them around, well, that kind of reshuffles the deck in a way, and next thing you know, there is a problem. These aren't terribly dirty, but they do have some corrosion on it. Like this coil wire here, you look at the tip of that thing, it's kind of funky. And then also we noticed like this one here, it had a big old chewed spot in it. And that could be an opportunity to feel like you were struck by lightning. After seeing a couple of these, and sometimes the little nick in this thing doesn't mean that it's bad, and I have wrapped electrical tape on stuff like that, and it worked fine for a long time. We're wanting to fix this thing once and have fun with it with the family and all that, so you know, a few extra bucks on a set of plug wires, and these are old and nasty and probably lifetime warranty somewhere that I could take back if I had a receipt or if I'd bought them, but I'm not the guy, so we're moving forward. So it's time to decipher which one goes where and start putting some plug wires on. Okay, we got the plug wires on, distributor cap, rotor, new spark plugs, and the electronic conversion on or in the distributor. Pretty much the moment of truth now. It's time to fire this thing up and see if that tune-up did the trick. I grabbed my little old timing light because with us pulling that distributor out, we're going to have to reset that stuff. And I'm hoping all goes well. This thing was shaking like it was dancing around last time, and I hope this fixes all those issues. Let's set this thing up, bump a key, see what it does. All we can do is fix it. I mean, it was broke before, right? Yep. I hope this goes smoothly, folks. Really do. I took that battery up. Grab my battery pliers. You was talking to me earlier, all flashing and stuff. We done did some good for you. I want you to treat me nice. Now we got the new parts on it. Y'all ever talk to the cars? I do. I know it's kind of odd. And I've been told I'm odd, but I'm okay with that. And put this on number one. Yeah, come on. Number one. Yeah, you don't want it to be on the wrong plug wire. Whew, that makes timing a chore. Cool. Let's open the door up and fire her up. It's cold out there, folks. It's like 35 degrees. I'm curious. I just want to pump it. 2, 3. That helps to set the choke. I need to get a starter. Idle's low. He's running better though. I think we just need to idle it up a second. It's way better than it was. And I can tell you, it's actually idling way, way low, way low. It wouldn't idle at that earlier. Nope. That vacuum advance being bad could have been a problem because it had just a leak sucking air. All right, let's try that. Bumper key. Man, that already sounds better. Not like we got an exhaust leak though. That may have been caused from that last heated experience, if you will. We also need to set that timing like we were talking about. Oh goodness. The light's not coming on. Come on, baby. Let's see where this thing's at. It's supposed to be at 8 degrees. We are, where are we at? Not right. Oh, nope, pull her forward, pull her forward, pull her forward. Right there is 8 degrees. Need to idle her down just a taste. Still a little low. Pull her back up. Idle her down a little more. That's it, folks. That's it. Need to lock that distributor down. Need to come show y'all what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Took my little timing light here. This one is an adjustable type, which is pretty handy. What you get to do is you can set it at, like this one, it says 8 degrees. And this old car is kind of neat because it actually tells you here on this little decal. We can clean this thing off a little bit. And it does you spark plug gap, 35 thousandths, that's what we did earlier. And let's see here, low idle screw in drive is 400 RPM. It wants the timing set at 8 degrees at 600 RPM. Now I'm not gonna like do it in drive and all that kind of stuff because you gotta set the parking brake or have 2 people to do it. So yeah, we're not doing all that. So we have this thing set right now. Is the timing, like I said, it shows 8 degrees at 600. So let's just see where we're at. Right now our RPM is a little bit high. So for the efforts of showing you guys, make sure that you choke idle. Little cam is this thing right in there. And depending on where your choke set at, sometimes you know, as it comes up, it's got cogs on it in a way. And we have it doesn't get any lower. So the only way to get this car lower than it is to crank that screw back out. You can hear the cars slowly idling down ever so slightly. Boy, she changed tone in. Let's check our RPM. 720. We'll go just a taste more. That old screw. You notice that throttle blade is slowly leaning forward. Man, you can't get much closer than that. So, down here in the hole, if you will, it's really hard to see where the camera to pick it up. But we're about 2 degrees off. I know it's really hard to see with that weird flashing light. And that kind of sucks. So to come up, push it forward. Think that's right? Yep. Push it forward, goes up, and push it back, it retards it. So we are dead on 8 degrees at 600. So now what we really ought to do is grab my little 9/16 wrench and then fall in over here, and you have a little bolt that clamps on your distributor that holds it in place, and tightening this thing up like we are here, that keeps the distributor from moving. And sometimes when you're tightening this dude up, you'll ever so slightly bump the timing. Oh crap, I had that hooked up. We got to recheck it. You're not supposed to do that. Right now this is on the ported side. There's no air being drawn in right now. So really and truthfully, it should be right. They usually tell you to disconnect your vacuum advance from there for that reason, but there's no kind of draw on it, so we don't have to check it, but I will anyhow, just because, just in case if I bumped this thing, rotated it around as I was moving it. And by the looks of things, I promise you my light is flashing every time, but for whatever reason my camera is not picking it up. But we are dead on. So now with this thing running, notice my light. It is barely moving. That tells you how smooth this old car is running. It's pretty sweet. All we did was a tune-up, and we drug this thing out from that slumber that it had. That's pretty sweet. I want to rip on it. I want to burp a throttle a time or two. This is heat. That's all right. Nothing at all wrong with that. Nothing at all. Smoking just a little bit. You can see that. but that could be burning off some of that old funk from them bad plugs in there. They wasn't firing on all the cylinders. So this thing's just sitting here, it's getting warm. It sounds really, really, really good. Brakes are up on it. This thing needs a hubcap and a trucker's bath and a little spit shine, and we'd have us something. Whoo! I think we need to get her spiffed up. It's running like a champ. I want to see what it does. I want to see how nice it starts up. So I want to get off up in here. It's been running a few minutes, you know, after we did our handiwork. So let's cut her off. Now all you should have to do is bump a switch. With a good starter, of course. That's where it's at. So this is what we're gonna do. Now, I can't take the lady out on a town with this thing, and I'm talking about my lady when I pull her up close to me, but sitting in the passenger seat with this old car looking like this. So we're gonna have to spruce it up, make it look less bad. Now, what we're actually gonna do is polish this car, and I'm pretty confident that it will kind of shine right up. This old car has had a paint job before, and it's kind of sat neglected and it's faded out. Now, the process we're going to use is super simple. All I'm going to do is spray glass cleaner on it first, wipe it down. That will clean it, and then we're going to start compounding it. All I'm going to use is a rotary buffer and some compound to bring this thing back to life. And I'm going to work just on this fender to show you guys how good it's going to look. And in all reality, it's not going to take, but I'm going to say probably about 10 to 20 minutes per panel. And it's going to be quite the transformation. Looking at it, you can obviously tell that it's got a lot of funkiness on it. I can put my finger, rub on it, and I bet it's green. Oh, yep, it's starting to get there. So like I said earlier, minimal effort, massive results. Some of it has to do with the product, and some of it has to do with the car, but it's going to look really nice when we're finished. Let's get started. Well, you can call that a success. Looks really nice. And as I was saying, that took about 10 minutes to do. Now, the paint job isn't perfect by any means, but the reflection is dramatically better. The door, the fender. Not too bad for just a few minutes of labor. Now we just got to do the rest of the car.